Welcome to Persephone's Tavern.
Welcome back to Ivila. I am your DM, Trevor Trent. Joining me, we have Hayden Poindexter,
Galil Oremender,
Austin Boyette,
Elara Viraleth,
Nick Lloyd,
Yuriael Gloomraven,
and Andrew Goebel.
Anthony Ashford.
All right, welcome back to the tavern, everyone. Yeah, good to be back.
Thanks.
We're excited to get into it.
Oh yeah.
The world kind of dead air.
No, just in for the content.
No, we'll cut it. Yeah. Snip it.
All right, we're back into the world. Last we left off, Galil had just destroyed the smoking magic staff, claimed after defeating a zealous ambush by the nearby kobolds. As the staff broke, the magic within exploded in a dense cloud of magical smoke, blinding all within and racking those nearby, the epicenter, with immense pain. Galil nearly perished from the explosion, but as the rest of the group searched frantically in the darkness to find themselves, their new ally Elara managed to find Galil clinging to life by a thread. With a spell, she brought him back from the brink. After retrieving pieces of the broken staff out of the void, they retreated to a safe distance where their sight returned to them. As they came together, Elara asked of the Yuri, explaining she wished to meet with them. After learning that they had apparently been extinct for many centuries, Elara resigned to joining the party until she could learn more about where she was and what became of the Yuri. They returned to their camp and rested for the next leg of their journey. The next morning, they were off. Along the way, Elara and the rest of the party shared about who they were and what brought them all to the Silverflight Mountains. They talked about the abomination in the gypsum mines and of the strange symbols found on the creature. After allowing Elara to study them, she revealed that they were Uri script, and though they had been manipulated for their feral purpose, seemed based on religious symbols of the Triquartet. With this revelation, the group pledged to find where these symbols would lead and put a stop to what Galil pointed out as blasphemy. They continued the rest of the way through Grizzleby Pass and eventually found their way back to the main road. As they ascended, they faced more and more frigid conditions. The travel was arduous, and Elara especially was affected by the plummeting conditions. With no other option and huddled to a tree she had set on fire for warmth, she transformed herself into a tiny furry creature from her world more adapted to the cold. Without further delays, they traveled the rest of the day before finding themselves at the gate to Bahamut's spine. The party prepared themselves for the worst, but they were welcomed into the town without much interference. Despite the rumors, the guards assured the party that they were safe there. As the gates opened, they found themselves before a poor town. Disheveled and simplistic homes and businesses were built on century-old foundations of a dwarven town and populated by a downtrodden mixture of men, elves, and gnome. Galil in particular felt alienated as there were no dwarves among the townspeople. Following the advice of the guards at the gate, they made their way through the muddy snow-wreathed streets to the Opal Claw Manor. The old but immaculately preserved manor served the town as an inn and tavern, and based on the lively evening activity already in full swing, seemed to be the social hub of the town. After checking in with the front desk and paying for rooms, the party adjourned to the tavern to take in a well-earned respite. Over meals, games, and music, the party scoured the bar for rumors, during which Yuriel found himself pulled into an intense tutorial game of dragon chess with a mysterious cloaked man who introduced himself as Fox. As he played and the others drank and communed at the bar, suddenly they were interrupted by a tiny creature caught pilfering from the barkeeper. With a rooty vegetable clutched in its teeth, a familiar stoat barreled along the bar top before fleeing the building. Realizing the rest of the group recognized the creature, Elara transformed into a stoat as well and chased after. Following it as it fled, Elara trailed the stoat around the corner to a small alleyway. There she discovered a small halfling child huddled behind a stack of crates. The child greeted Elara warmly, but his pet stoat seemed wary of her. As it spoke, Elara quickly realized the creature was no more stoat than she was, and so made a tactical retreat to share what she had learned. Quick to make the connection to Edgar, the party raced out to find where he was. There he learned that he had been separated from his mother in the convoy after a vicious rock slide on the road, and somehow found his way all the way to the town by himself. Scared and unsure, Edgar was quick to attach himself to the group, particularly Azimir, and so the group resigned to bringing him to their rooms to get out of the cold and decide what to do with him. As the party downstairs dies down, everyone settles in for a night of rest. And that is where we pick up. As the cold mountain air breezes through your windows and you hear the subtle light chirping of birds outside, you guys slowly come awake into the morning.
All right. So one thing I do want to note, a change that came throughout the night, when I awaken, I feel like Yuriael would notice this immediately. My skin tone my body has somewhat adapted towards the cold. It doesn't necessarily give me any resistance to the cold. However, my form is now, instead of being a nice springy green, it's bluish, pale blue skin. My hair has pale blue tones to it and everything. And I have frosty twigs that wrap around my hands. Brittle, no leaves, buds, anything. A complete change has come over me, except for my clothes, which are still kind of earthy tones. But when I wake up, I feel like I'm pretty startled by this change, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Quite odd. Is this normal?
For me.
I see.
I guess when we wake up, look around and see if Edgar and Niles are still in the room.
Yeah.
They are, and it seems that Edgar has woken up early, as young children often do, and he is in the corner with a book cracked open on the floor, and it looks like he's writing in it.
I want to get up and start putting my armor on and say a prayer and bless my armor, give it a +1 to my AC, and then after I finish doing that, I'll approach Edgar. I want to ask him if he's hungry.
Sure, I could eat.
Yeah, well, let's go down. Let's meet up with the rest of our party and go downstairs and have some breakfast. And we'll decide what we're going to do for today.
Yeah, as soon as I hear doors open and stuff, wherever the room is next to us, I'll walk out as well.
And there's a healthy timbre of foot traffic in the hallways. Okay. People are slowly getting up throughout the morning.
I spot Galil and walk over to him, forgetting that I shift in and out of my appearance that he's probably accustomed to.
Do I recognize her face? Is it easily enough to recognize?
Probably my frame is the most, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, there's enough similarities that you're like, what happened to you?
Yeah, I'm like not too suited to the cold, are you?
Well, this should help a little bit, but no, I'm used to slightly more temperate climate. The days are very short here.
Let's go downstairs and eat some meat. That'll help you with some protection from the cold if we get some fat on your bones.
I'm vegetarian, actually.
So you come down to a tavern that is very, very much the same in busyness, but is much different atmosphere. They've almost kind of switched to a Denny's style kind of morning diner. Like they're taking short order breakfast stuff going on, and nobody's getting hammered. Everyone's chasing the hangover away.
Oh yeah, I drank last night.
But you see a new set of staff that are here working in the morning. It's not the same barkeep. You see there's like a elven woman that's behind the barkeep now, and she looks a little bit more of a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kind of personality. Is greeting regulars warmly, and
I'll go to the bar and order some of the tubers that Niles actually made away with, just to have something to munch on, and go back to a corner booth and start studying my star chart like a nerd.
She says, "I'm sorry, do you want it raw?"
However you prepare it.
All right, well, let me just rinse the mud off of it first, at least. And
Thank you.
She kind of goes back in the back and dunks it in a trough of something on hand that's mostly clean water, and gives it back to you. This soggy tuber.
Thank you.
Gross. You're welcome. That's on me. I couldn't think and charge you for that.
Oh, what a blessing.
I would like something edible.
Very well.
It's quite good. Once you develop a taste.
Is it though?
It takes a few decades. It's a tuber.
Do you have breakfast?
Yes, we serving breakfast now.
I'll take one of the...
Tell you what, she says, "I'll get you my personal favorite," and she kind of winks and turns around.
Perfect.
Make it 2.
She's hitting on you.
Yeah?
I wouldn't know.
Why would you say that?
Instigator?
I would like to say maybe Asmir stays up in the bedroom a little bit longer. Have something in mind I would like to try out.
Preparing your spells.
Yeah, I got a new spell I want to go ahead and give a shot.
Oh, you can cast it now, huh?
Yeah, just after everyone leaves the room. Edgar.
Well done.
Sure.
Oh yeah, what? I guess he came down with us.
Yeah, I want to yell back and be sure to get Edgar a plate as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
3rd breakfast.
Kids like pancakes, right?
Yeah, kids love pancakes.
She like yells back to the kitchen. I need 3 breakfasts.
Just the
Big one.
So you have everyone leaves, and you have this room to yourself. It's quiet and you're secluded.
Yeah. So just after Galil leaves, I just kind of open up my book and kind of like flip to a certain page, and I immediately start casting the spell Magic Mouth on my backpack. And I'm just going to record a simple message at a medium volume that just says, "Someone's getting in your bag." That would play to anybody who is not a party member of mine.
So you speak this incantation into your bag, and the front flap of it crinkles up into like the shape of a mouth. And it kind of like moves a bit, like it's trying to like stretch out its lips, and then it just like repeats word for word what you said, and then it pauses for a moment, and then another voice goes, "Would you like to save this message?"
Oh, thank goodness. No, not after that little mess up. It's like, okay, let's try this one more time. And I do that 5 more times. I mess up 5 more times on the message. It's like, okay, that might do. I'll do like, "Hey, what you doing back there?" That'll be the ending of it. That'll be the complete one. "What are you doing back there?"
As you finalize the message, you see that the bag suddenly goes rigid again. It returns back to like its innate form.
I love magic.
usually get paid extra.
All right, put all my things back in it, put it back on, and I start heading down to the main dining area where everyone is.
As you come back down, you see that Yuriael and Galil and Edgar all have a breakfast, and they're sitting at a table together eating. Really,
I go up to the bar, so you see the waitress like, "What are you guys serving right now?" "Oh, never mind, just give me the breakfast." And
Get enough for breakfast. Come back later. We're serving lunch.
Oh, lunch. Not many places serve lunch.
I'll have that. Lunch. I'll have the midday breakfast, please.
Can I still get breakfast
from
like
Spaceballs?
Yeah.
So yeah, I come up to the table, and it seems like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people with Edgar. I just grab a seat from an empty table, pull it over, and it's like, "Hey guys, how are we all doing this morning?"
really well?
You're different.
Yes.
You okay? Cold getting to you?
Yes, but
Kinda-
I'll be fine.
I think it's a little bit of hypothermia.
No. I shift through seasons. This is my homeworld.
Okay, interesting. We'll talk more about that later. So how are you all doing today, gang?
Doing good. Something good. Good being back in an inn and off the road for sure.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you sleep, Edgar?
How's about that?
Pretty good. The bed was comfortable.
I want to eat about half of my food and then shovel the rest onto Edgar's plate.
He's a child.
I don't know when he ate less or when he's gonna eat
Probably
again.
all the time.
Yeah.
He's been eating these damn.
I really savor and
Round
enjoy
apple.
this breakfast.
Here, let me give you something nutritious. Eat the half-eaten potato.
Funny you say that, because as you were talking, Edgar looks at Elara crunching on the thing and pulls out the one that he had from last night and gives it to you.
I just reach over and take it.
You know, he's got this mound of food in front of him, and he says,
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat it.
He's gonna like hand it out to you like a horse for you just.
I eat it graciously. Now I have two for free. I was thinking about this goddamn stoat. It's not a stoat.
It's there with him still, too.
Pissing me off. I thought about offering it to that stoat, and that would be a weird.
And it just, like, stays around him constantly, like, sits on his shoulder, and runs in and out of its satchel and things.
Keep a wary eye on it, but other than that, I don't let it trouble.
I'm gonna wait for.
You notice it keeps a knowing eye on you, too.
What is your mission in this town? Why are you here? And I kind of look at the whole party, but it's a good point.
Like, you have this kid in front of you that's distracted you, but you all came here for different reasons.
Well,
I've been thinking about that a lot lately with the passing of our friend. The main reason I was here was a quest for him. You know, I was just sort of hired. I was gonna find some orcs, and now I don't know, I still kind of want to find those orcs. I feel like it's my duty for him. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, I wish only to know more of the Yuri.
I suppose maybe we have similar lining goals then.
Well, it's not that I don't like the company, especially in such a strange world as this, but I'm just hoping that some sign of the Yuri will crop up soon.
I came here to come home to see what had become of my family, homestead, so coming here and seeing the town in this state is much different, and apparently without dwarfs has left me sort of lost for purpose. When I grabbed that staff out in the forest, I definitely had a inkling of an urge to destroy whatever had created it, but I fear I'm no closer to finding its origins than I was when I left Alexandria.
There are many mysteries in the universe. This is your home?
I was born here, but this is not my home. This is something that was built on top of what my home was.
Whenever most of the world is changed by its civilizations and beings, it tends to happen. From my place, nature is the ruling factor, and nature does little to change by itself. You might have the people here to think.
Yeah, I think wars usually outlast people. They have longer lifespans, have stronger resolve, and they aren't scared away easily. So the fact that humans have all but taken over this dwarven mountain makes me think something else ran them away, other than natural time and change.
Do you think it's the curse?
I do think it has something to do with the curse. I don't think the things we saw at the village were natural that happened to Claudia. They were also suspiciously close to that monster we found in the cave and seemed mysteriously intertwined. As we pursued further down that one hint that we had, we came across more darkness and more shadow. So whatever curse came upon this town hundreds of years ago, I don't think is completely left.
And now we're dealing with curses. I don't know what you're speaking of. What do you know the curse?
I know that there is a black smoke that fills this woods that can dominate the minds of men and has some origin, I believe, with the infernal.
Well, the only black smoke that I've seen is what came out of that staff once you broke it.
Does black smoke typically come out of fires too?
Yes, but it usually doesn't alter the mind, out of the brain.
Yeah, this black smoke knocked me unconscious almost immediately. You saw that smoke. Do you think that was natural smoke?
I mean, I didn't get too close of a look at it, but it was dark. It was night. We just had a friend fall from a sky earlier that night. Things were a little weird.
Are you a skeptic? After all we've seen?
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, but I am kind of stitious. It's kind of my job to be kind of stitious.
Medium stitious.
You're probably like the world's best boss in some other world.
Thank you.
So you consider me a friend then?
Well, I mean, you haven't outright tried to hurt us or do us wrong, so I'd say yes. I might be a little bit quick to making friends, but I haven't really had friends to make.
I don't say anything. I just kind of smile and nod my head and go back to eating my tuba.
But yeah, he's here to find some orcs. He's here to find his home, and I'm here to find some answers.
When I tell you that the information regarding Yuri paramount to any trivial matters that you may have going on, I mean that in no uncertainty.
Listen, lady, I get it. You fell from the sky, and your whole deal is more important than our whole deal, but we've had things going on here for years, and you just showed up and want us to completely uproot our cause for yours?
Many generations have come and passed since I found this news. Maybe in my travels, civilizations have risen and fallen. I crossed multiple planes so that I could come here and meet with Yuri.
Well, you missed the boat.
It seems so.
And I stand up and I want to approach the waitress and I want to ask her if there's a cemetery plot in town.
Oh, sure. It's the whole town cemetery. It's been up for centuries. You'll find it on the north side of town.
I tell the party that I'm going to separate for the first part of the day until lunch. I'm going to go to the cemetery plot and see if I can find any of my family's headstones, be it my mother or Claudia's father or relatives.
Would you like any company or just someone to...
No, I think I'm going to go this alone, right? Fear my reaction.
He thinks he's gonna cry.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry.
It's fine to cry. We all do it. We all have a passion.
I'll talk to the barkeep and ask her if there's any... Is there anywhere with some more suitable clothing?
We do have a tailor. He's back towards the gate, but I mean, I think I might have an old cowl I could loan you. Meantime, it'll keep the wind off your back.
That would be most gracious of you.
Very well. And she runs back and grabs this old cloak. It's tattered on the frayed edges of the side, and it only goes up to about the bottom of your back. But it does have a large hood, and it wraps all the way around the top of your torso.
As she's getting the cloak, I look over to Elara and I say,
I think she's flirting with you.
You think so?
No.
Why would you say that then?
You said it earlier to me, right? I thought that was the
Yes.
thing.
Oh. Sorry. I look back at the barkeep and I say, I will not forget this kindness.
No problem. So she winks at you.
That's kind of... I look at Yuriael and raise my eyebrows up.
Maybe she was. I think she was that.
I think she absolutely was it then.
Are the rest of you guys going to stay here at the bar and just hang out? Or not the bar, at the tavern, as Galil heads out?
Well,
I'll study my Star Chart a little more, but yeah.
she had went up and asked about a tailor, and I was kind of inquiring, see if I can get a new set of clothes to help keep this off myself.
I want to spend some time with the horses, make sure they're doing all right.
You can go out and just around the building where you guys stable them up. There's a livery back there.
I want to cast Pass Without a Trace on myself and pale Galil.
Very well.
Keeping a respectable distance. Trying to learn about these humanoid emotions.
So you head up the road, beginning towards the north, back towards the cemetery. And as she told you about the northern cemetery, it's been there for centuries, you think back and you remember that it was there. You begin walking up the road. As you go, you follow this road and you begin seeing, rising up out of the distance, the familiar tower of the Eastern Border Watch. And as you're walking up the road, you see that it forks. The road going straight heads straight towards the garrison, which is built off of like the cliff sides and such, giving it like a really nice watchtower view of the whole eastern mountain range. You see this road that kind of meanders up to the left and begins going at an uphill grade. And as you take a left, you step onto that road and you pause for a moment because you remember this will take you to the cemetery, but it'll also take you right past your childhood home and where your mother's forge used to be.
I want to pause a second and look around, see if anybody's around me.
You don't see anybody. Coast is clear. I mean, you see a few townspeople.
Slowly want to walk up the street, sort of in my mind, trying to superimpose my memory of what this street was over what is now there, and trying to just sort of see if I can find any remnants of what used to be.
It's more remnants than not, actually, because the further you get out of the central area of town, in fact, the further north you go past Opalclaw Manor, the less anything is going on. You see more and more just ruined foundations and buried old homes, but not a lot of people that are just like set up out here. Like you're slowly getting into the boonies in a way. But it is familiar. Like in your mind, you can kind of see where a stone wall once sat and what the building was that was on the other side of it, and certain types of evergreen trees that once kind of stood sparse have now kind of retaken over the area, and you see large thickets of trees that weren't there before. But it's more or less abandoned and off the beaten track.
Okay, I'll progress forward, looking for my old home to see if it's still standing.
You walk up the familiar drive to a simple stonecraft home that is built just off the old road. The imposing silhouette of the Border Watch Tower still rises up in the background beyond a thicket of evergreen trees. The worn cobblestone path that leads up to the front door splits off, leading to a stone arch entry into a dark and dusty forge.
I'll slowly approach the forge and cast light on my weapon as I enter to look around.
So you find the remnants of a familiar interior. The place looks abandoned, but mostly intact. Inside is dusty and appears darkened with char. Not burnt, but caked in the buildup from some thick smoke. As you're looking around, you see a glint of something in the corner that catches your eye. And as you look over into that direction where the sun had just bounced just right to flick that light to you, you see suddenly that a flame ignites in the forge out of nowhere.
I'll approach it.
You see inside there's a small billet in the fire. It begins to glow. It glows hotter and hotter before suddenly thick smoke begins to billow from the forge.
I look around quickly and see if I can find a pair of metal tongs.
I will beast shape, because I assume I was probably at best peering around the door and seeing this from a distance.
Yeah, and this is an open forge. There's a large archway that goes into it, so you could see most of what's going on, if only from like a dim.
What he's looking at, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will beast shape into a rat and scale up on the rafters. Let's see if I can.
Okay. Yeah, easily done. You just kind of run your way up. And you get a pretty good look, but it's only for a moment before you start seeing the smoke enveloping everything. But you see he's looking down and he's grabbed a set of metal tongs, and you want to go into the fire with him.
I'm gonna pull that metal out.
So as you go to grab it, you feel this smoke hitting you as your lungs begin to fill. So you begin to feel a familiar presence. Everything around you becomes enveloped in smoke, soon even to the point that you, Elara, are starting to feel the effects and are feeling that you can't see, so you're experiencing the blinded condition, and you're also having trouble breathing.
I'll relocate if I can, climb down the wall and see if I can't get a little bit lower in the room.
To that, there's still no avail. I will say what you are able to glean out of this is this glowing red hot orb in the center of this smoke. Like you're seeing the fire from the forge, if nothing else.
You'll hear Galil sort of cursing under his breath. Foul magic still here. What are you doing? My mother's forge. I'm just almost ranting and stumbling over my words as I'm trying to pull this piece of metal out of the old forge.
And as you grab it, you grab these tongs onto it and you pull it out, and suddenly you feel your body shift, and you look in your hands and you're holding a hammer. And you look around and you see these figures start to approach you out of the fog. These dark, shadowy entities wielding these vicious weapons. And as they come towards you and begin brandishing them against you and you fight back, you hear this voice in your head, this inner monologue saying, "Stop, this is wrong. What are you doing?" And you begin swinging this weapon wildly at these creatures, following them around you, until suddenly a commanding voice in your head shouts, "Galil, that's enough!" And the sound snaps you out of it. And you look around, still surrounded by smoke, but you recognize that voice and the command that it still holds over you, your mother's voice. And as your senses come back to you and you suddenly feel better, you see glittering out of the corner of your eye again that light that caught you in the corner of the forge. And even though it's still smoky and hazy, you still see that gleaming in the distance, almost unnaturally at this point.
Yeah, I want to try to muster all the resolve I have and grab hold of the tongs again and see if I can get it out of this forge.
Easily done. You throw it down on the anvil and it starts to cool. You see that the forge isn't producing smoke anymore. The ingot itself is still kind of smoking, but it's almost like a firework that's running out of steam. Like the smoke begins to go slower and slower as it cools down.
I want to take it outside and dunk it into the snow.
Throughout that exchange, did I see or hear anything besides Galil's voice?
Yeah, you just saw smoke. And then you now see, as you're kind of come down and you're creeping around the door trying to kind of make heads and tails, you see him run out and throw it in the thing. And you hear this hiss, as the ingot cools down at a rapid pace and melts through the snow. And as you stare at it and you see that its color comes back to normal, you just see this very dark obsidian-colored half-melted billet, and it looks the same as the metal that made your gauntlets, and the same as the metal that Claudia chipped off of her father's warhammer.
I want to again observe the metal. Do I recall it from my time before I left Bahamut's spine? Do I recall it from my childhood or crafting with it or anything like that?
It's not something that you used, but it's something that was being experimented with as a material. Some of the more master craftsmen of the mountain found this ore, and in its natural state was pretty unusable, but with a lot of time and research they were able to find out how to forge with it.
So it's evil ore.
At this time, I will pop out of my animal form in the doorway, and after watching this, I'll just say gently, strange tidings indeed.
I told you not to follow me.
I meant no harm.
Did you see that smoke?
I hardly saw anything beyond the smoke.
That's interesting. I feared it might have been in my head, but it was real. And this is real. And I hold up a piece of ingot.
I'll walk closer and observe it with my eyes.
Excellent. So you remember this material. You've never known it to be used in metalworking from where you're from, but it's also used as a spell component for some rituals because it is a material that is highly infused with aether.
Oh. Is it Aethercite?
It is Aethercite.
Is it safe to touch?
You would think so.
I will
He's not so sure.
grab it out of your hand, and I will say, I've seen this material.
It feels
Stop you from grabbing it.
Okay, I kind of pull my hand back and just kind of look right at Galil, and I say, I'm familiar with this. It is a metal which we never work and have little to do with, but it's known as Aethercite. It's a very peculiar mineral indeed, as it is infused with the aether itself.
What was it doing glowing hot in the long abandoned forge?
I was hoping you might know more about that than I.
As you're saying that, you hear a whisper in your head, Galil. A light voice that's just... Galil. And you look back to the forge and see that glimmer still flickering inside.
Once I see him look back, I kind of glance back too, to see if I might see what he's looking at.
You don't see it. You just see this thick black smoke that, quite frankly, reminds you of the smoke from the staff.
So I'll glance back and look back at Galil searchingly and say, what is it?
Stay here. Watch out. If the smoke becomes too thick, don't come in after me. And I want to approach the forge again to see what's still glowing. I already pulled the metal out.
So you go back in, and you instinctually head back towards the forge, because you're like, did I miss a piece? But as you get closer, you realize, no, this light is in the corner away from the forge. And you go walk over to it, and you see that the light leads to a holy symbol of Andromeda, emblazoned in the center of a set of splint mail, integrated into cleric robes.
Pick them up. Are these my mother's?
You don't recognize the set, but as you touch the holy symbol, there's a flash of radiant light that blazes from it, and suddenly, Elara, you see this from the outside, all of the smoke erupts out of the front door as if pushed by a gust of wind and dissipates into the sky. And the forge is clear, and you are just left with this immaculate set of armor that looks like it's as if it had been placed there by the goddess herself in the midst of this remnant of black smoke and decay.
I want to pick up the armor, and I run outside holding it up, and I say, you see? And I hold up the seal of Andromeda and I point towards it, and I say, you see how that smoke was expelled? It may have been from some aether stone, but there's clearly something evil at work if it was repelled by our deity.
Now that you have it out in the sunlight, as you look at it, you realize with an immediately horrified realization that wanes quickly that there is Aethercite integrated into this suit of armor. It's part of its construction, but this does not cause that strange sensation in your mind. This does not cause you to see visions of smoke monsters. This just feels like it radiates warmth, a familiar embrace of the goddesses.
Do I recognize the symbol of Andromeda?
Absolutely.
I think my mother must have been able to refine this ore and possibly use it for the exact opposite of its original nature and ward off the very energy that it brings with it. I worry that Claudia is carrying around pieces of cursed metal that may have been following my whole bloodline for our entire lives.
So as you say that, it occurs to you that you didn't even know you had any living relatives. What if she's not the only one that lived? What if she's not the only one that kept an heirloom?
Yeah, even more reason to go to the cemetery to see how much of the lineage ended here and how much of it went to the rest of the lands like I did. I thought that by leaving I would bring all the danger with me and my family would be safe, but my entire heritage has been mowed over, so
you felt some evil or some power within you, thought that you had to leave to alleviate it from the town?
I felt a dark cloud looming over me and did not feel like I had complete control over my mind all of the time. Felt it would be better if I follow the call of Andromeda far away from my family and hopefully preserve their safety.
And yet you found yourself back here. Was this your home?
This was my home. This is where I grew up. And I point over towards the building next to the forge.
It's built adjacent, like it's just shared wall situation. And you see like the door to the main house is like off the hinges and broke down. You're positive that whatever's in there has long since been looted and rotted out.
Many things in nature are not evil on their own, or good. It's mostly our interpretations that make...
My question is then, who is interpreting this on the other side? If we're crafting it for good, we saw this same material in the woods being used by Cabal.
Well, there's no shadow without light. It's obvious that Aethercite is a very powerful resource on its own. It could be shaped for good or evil.
Elara, as you're having this conversation with Galil, You look at, you take him in before you, and you realize that the gauntlets he wears are made of Aethercite as well.
Well, it seems that you share a bond with it, but thanks to Andromeda, it doesn't seem to have any negative effects.
I want to take some time to don the armor here in the forge and just sort of reflect on times my mother had tried fitting different pieces of armor on me and showed me how to fit armor onto other people.
As you take the time and put this armor on, slip the final pieces on, you've never put on a set of armor that felt this comfortable. It's as if you had been used as the model for its fitting.
The shackles, where do they come from?
They came from here. Pieces of metal that I've been able to transmutate easily. I've used them for simple gardening tools, to shackles for prisoners, to my home holy symbol at times. But it's always been with me.
Why shackles? Why not a bracelet?
I don't know. Maybe because they represent a burden that I carry with me. They represent all the negative thoughts that came along with me leaving and going to Alexander, to remind me that it wasn't a vacation, but it was a prison sentence to keep me away from my home. I'm going to make my way up the road to the family plot to see if my mother is buried there, see how much of my family lays to rest there. Fear that this Aethercite could have been mined from Silver Spine Mountain somewhere, and without any sort of oversight could have made its way all over the land by now.
Your family must have come up with some way to work the Aether into a malleable metal. No mean feat. It's probably something that's run in your bloodline for many years.
I don't doubt that my mother was able to come up with means to work with it. Not only was she an amazing blacksmith, but she was also a devout follower of Andromeda. She's the one who inspired me to follow Andromeda instead of war, so her ability to craft whatever good out of this does make sense to me.
So you guys are just walking and talking, discussing this recent event as you move closer to the cemetery. And it's not but another half a mile up the road, or lack thereof. You quickly find yourself on less of a road and more of a trail by the time you find the cemetery. It looks like it's a well-worn footpath that procession does come through here, but it's not really a place of reflection, it doesn't seem. And as you walk into this old cemetery, you see that there are many more stones than you recall. It makes sense. But you work your ways into the less frequented areas.
I assume I would know where my grandpa was buried and things like that, and I would sort of approach the family area.
The family plot. It takes about an hour of walking through this place, and you don't do it in any great hurry. It gives you time to reflect, but you do eventually find your way to the family plot. And as you walk through the names of deceased cousins and uncles and aunts and grandmothers and grandfathers, and you do eventually find the resting place of your mother. You find an intact gravestone that is wreathed in juniper berries, but is otherwise taken by the overgrowth and neglect of time. You see the dates carved into the stone, and you see a long life. You see someone who died in their time.
I want to take some time to clean up the grave and remove all the vines and weeds that are growing up along the headstone. And then I'll kneel down in front of the headstone, put my hammer down and kneel with it, and reach into my pocket, and I'll pull out a small chunk of iron, and I'll begin to channel my channel divinity. And as I do start to tear up, and I feel emotions sort of swell through me, and I recall, some of the first things that my mother taught me to forge, and the iron sort of transmutes into the weak, wobbly shape of a dagger, and then into the shape of a helmet. And then I recall all the meals that she used to cook for me, and it sort of transitions into a steel handle, wooden spatula, and then into a childhood toy that I used to have. And then I'll recall the sermons that she used to tell me about Andromeda, and it'll sort of shift to a symbol of Andromeda and back to a dagger, and then eventually it'll stop transmuting and just coalesce into a robin, just a bird, and I'll lay it at the base of the headstone. And then I'll just stand up and I want to look side to side and see if I can start to build a family tree off of things like preceded in life by X and X. See if I can find any loose ends.
I want to look at the gravestone and say, Oremender, that was your family line?
Yes, that is my family line.
Makes sense for anyone who found a way to work Aethercite. I think it looked better with the juniper, though. And I'll reach into the juniper bush and move my hand around a little bit and whisper some stuff and bring back out a small wreath of juniper with blooms and stuff all on it and place it next to the grave.
I think Mother would have liked that. Thank you. Let's go back. Got much to talk to the party about.
As you stand back up and having this moment of prayer and reflection and memorial to your mother, you feel this warmth rush over you, both of you. And until the next long rest, you guys will get a +1 to your saving throws.
Very cool.
Now, for extrapolating your family tree just based off of ruined gravestones, you don't see many more that are your family's names, let alone just taking a glance around dwarven family names that have been buried here for any recent than 150 years ago.
Can I find Claudia's fathers?
Nope.
Very little remains for the birthplace of your family.
Mm-hmm.
You find his father, which was the one that was like the remaining member of the Border Watch that came back after the whole ordeal.
Yeah, I sort of wince because on one hand, my family had to leave this area, which was their home, but also they could have unknowingly been carrying a great evil with them across the land. I need to figure out who first discovered this and if they have any lineage left, where this came from. Naturally, there has to be some sort of deposit, some vein nearby. That could be why there's so many legends of curses in this woods. They're not just local to me. People whisper all around about curses in these woods.
Well, it certainly seems that you weren't the only member of your family that was running from something.
Yeah, I thought it was me.
I shiver and I say we should return to the others, unless you'd like to be alone.
No, let's go back. I think Azamir might find this all very interesting, and I want to see if any of the locals have any clue about any of this.
What would Azamir know about this?
He's a magic guy.
Ah, yes.
All right, you guys head back towards town, finding yourself back to the crossroads, and then finally heading back south into the town proper. And where do you want to go back to first? Azamir?
Well, Azamir went to the tailor, didn't he?
Yeah, I was going to do a little bit of shopping and stuff.
We're going to do some shopping.
Okay.
All right, so let's lighten the tone a little bit.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, sorry, getting wrong heavy there. And so after a somber scene at the north side cemetery of the town, Galil and Elara head back into the main part of the town past the Opal Claw Manor and go back on the hunt for the rest of their party. Azamir, who had in the meantime been searching the town for the tailor, found him closer to the gate in a little small shop that is surrounded by a small little market square. You see a very much of the times wooden sign that's in the shape of like a spool of string with a needle stuck through it. And you're like, yep, fantasy clothes shop. There it is.
Or in this day and age, the clothes shop.
The clothes shop, yeah. The signs.
So yeah, I see the sign and I decide, well,
You see painted letters on the windows that read Summit Stitches.
Summit Stitches, okay.
Beyond that, though, you don't see much hustle and bustle going on around the shelves or anything like that.
Gotcha. I will proceed inwards inside the building.
The shop is quiet but clean. You see that the floors are worn, but everything is kept in organized array on the shelves. Behind the bar, you see a half-elf with short, clean-cut hair who looks like he's like counting his morning register. He's got his hand in the drawer and is not paying too much attention to you as you come in.
Okay. I'll just start by kind of browsing the shelves and the racks for the time being until I get frustrated and just go up to the bar. Hello, excuse me. My name is Azamir Ashford. It's nice to meet you. I was wondering if maybe you have some maybe discounted coats or a clearance rack of some sort.
This brash shop asked for a discount right out the gate, but we'll see what I have.
Well, I mean, money is tight at the moment, and we just got here, and Just need something to cover up a little bit.
You have to understand, winter fashion is also tight up here in the mountains.
I expect so.
Yeah,
But that said, I can get you set up with a warm set of clothes. Is that all you're needing?
Yes. Yeah, that mostly will be all. Well, maybe yes. Yes. This is all coming together very nicely.
Oh, seek them out. My semantic components will go off without a hitch.
John Person, discount, please. Yes, I'm just looking for a nice winter coat to get me through this.
Okay.
And maybe some information if you don't mind me picking at your brain, of course.
Sure, what would you like to know? He's like walking around the counter and going into the show floor to grab what you need as you're talking.
Yeah, so just kind of on the way up here, we found some, I would say maybe seedy individuals. I wonder how is this town according, like, is there some sort of maybe underground little thieves guild or a local bandit group of some sort or anything like that? A couple crazies maybe going on about the mountains.
He says, I wouldn't know. I'd keep out of stuff like that. That's none of my business.
That's completely fair.
You see that they are deflecting and seem to be knowing about sort of underground situations. But he says, I wouldn't know anything about that, but here we go. I got you all fixed up here. Let's change you 15 copper.
15 copper. Well, you drive a hard bargain, but it certainly does look nice for what it's worth. Tell you what, I am going to tell all my friends about this. You have very nice things here, and I just want to show them how nice of things you have. Honestly, they're going to love it. So I just go ahead and hand them a silver and a couple copper.
Thank you.
Well, also just real quick, I doubted because there's a broken bridge a couple miles down. Is there some sort of post that comes through here? Is there a messenger of some sort that goes around the areas to deliver faraway messages and items?
Sure, there's a courier service that comes through here once a week, but you say the bridge is out.
Yeah, no, when I come up here, the bridge down the road was out, and they had to take a long pathway going around, a little buggery things coming out of the woodworks. We had to take care of that, kind of dodge around them for a bit. But
yeah. He has this very concerned look on his face as you're telling them this news.
Tell me, you look a little sharp. Is that the only way to get up here? Mainstream?
Well, for most trade convoys, yes, that is the only way to get up here. That's going to be a problem for me in a few months.
How long has it been since you had a postman?
I haven't had any parcels myself for some time, but as I said, he comes in on the week, usually on Thursday.
On Fantasy Thursday.
Fantasy Thursday. Thursday.
But yeah, what was your name?
Yeah, name's Silas. And as long as I don't run out of supplies anytime soon, you and your friends are welcome to come back for your clothing needs.
And just one more thing. Is there happen to be like a bookstore or a library here, perhaps?
Here we go again.
No, you might find a few books at the general store, but that's about the best we can offer up here.
Absolutely.
You're a long way from Sarusha, kid.
Alrighty, Silas, it's been a pleasure. I will go ahead and take this and walk out that door post haste, and hopefully more people will come through for you. You are a pleasant fellow.
Thank you.
And I don the coat and I walk out the door. I'll head down to the general store and then the post office.
What is Yuriael doing during all this?
I left to the stables. I guess if Edgar was alone and by himself, I'd bring him to be like, "Hey, kid, ever seen a horse before?"
Yeah, I've seen horses. We used to have a convoy.
Cool, you're about to see 2 more.
So I take him over to the stables, and I'm like petting the horses and stuff. I use a first level spell slot so I can speak with the horses and just ask them how their day's been going. Like, "Hey guys, how's your day been going so far?"
Pretty dark in here, but it's warm. I kind of like it.
I introduce them. I say, "Hey, this is the kid."
Yeah, little guy. It's kind of like the guy that gave us oats this morning.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's just a smaller version of it.
He didn't give you like any apples or...
No, nothing like apples, just oats.
I'll have a talk.
Or was it barley? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have a talk with him.
Oh, you know the guy?
I'm gonna know the guy.
Okay.
So it's like banter back and forth with the horses. I'm just petting them, making sure all their needs are taken care of. Hey kid.
Coffee kid.
There's a lot of other kids around here.
And I could use your help to find the ones that don't have homes. We need to find them. We need to find them homes. I said to the boy, have you ever had a quest before?
Yeah, kinda.
Well, I'm bequeathing one to you today.
Ooh, bequeath.
And it is for the children. And on this quest, we will find a place for the kids. And we will take them there and lead them to community.
He's already stopped listening, and you see him with a stick in his hand, shadow boxing by himself, going, "Red mask and a kid."
I start doing it too. And I say, and don't forget, it's for the kids.
Children. For the kids. I'm the kid.
Yeah. I say, we're gonna get you a red mask.
You're gonna get this boy killed.
Can mine be green?
Yes, it can.
Great.
I guess that's what I start working on after I feed the
He said, I will fashion you a green mask.
Alright, so this kind of creates the perfect opportunity for the four of you plus Edgar to reconvene just outside of the tailor. You see Azamir's already got himself decked out, and the rest of you are kind of coming back at your own pace during this.
Oh, hey guys.
Hello guys. Edgar, good to see y'all. What are you guys all up to?
Pull out the Aether Stone.
Oh, that's interesting. What am I looking at?
Pull this ingot, hot as the fires of hell, out of a forge.
Is it still hot?
It was when I pulled it. I had to dip it in snow to cool it.
Well, you pulled it out with your bare hands?
No, I pulled it out with metal tongs.
Okay. Yeah.
But the weird thing that you should be focusing on is that forge has not been running for many, many years.
As he kind of says that, can I kind of flicker on detect magic? Okay. Continue.
This stone was pouring out smoke. Unnatural smoke. She saw it as well. And it was only by donning or touching this armor that the Seal of Andromeda was able to expel the smoke from the forge and allow me to cool the stone. Have you seen anything like this?
Real quick, you cast this spell, everyone sees he kind of does a thing. You see the split mail lights up like a Christmas tree with that nice juicy abjuration magic. And you see that his shackles have residual transmutation magic on them.
But I've seen him do the thing where he shapes
I
them
don't
all.
think you guys have any other magical items on you, though. Cloak of Elven Kind.
Oh yeah, we also got the rod, the stone. So I do the spell, draw the line past my eyes just kind of flicker a little bit, a light blue, then kind of turns solid normal. And I try to focus on the stone itself, but you see me just kind of wincing at you in general, just trying to cover your general body. It's like,
You're very gluey.
the stone itself is not inherently magical, but and I just turn it off and just, you are glowing.
Thank you.
You're
No, I mean,
pregnant?
you're
That's some stuff I resolved up on the hill.
And
Feeling a lot lighter.
He doesn't know you cast it.
But no, I mean your new gap is very glowy. That's good. You seem well better protected than I don't know if you may know, but you are well better protected with it on.
I believe so as well.
But other than that, no, the stone itself is normal. Any other ingot or no magic at all?
Not quite.
Not normal.
It possesses latent magic, which has to be tapped into. And apparently, his bloodline discovered the ways to work this magic from the metal.
Oh, really? That's very interesting. What do you have any history, or do you have technique? Do you have anything you want to share?
Well, I know that the shackles have
I know you've done those.
some strange, and I can transmute them, but I don't know how to make them magic. I just know how to basically move the metal that is already around it. That being said, I did look for the headstones of my uncle and my cousins, and I couldn't find any of their headstones, so it's quite likely that one of them may have figured out how to forge with it or craft it into something useful, or not, and has left this area with it and spread it Andromeda knows where.
Well, if that be the case, I think that maybe you're thinking more of just superstition. Maybe it's not tied to the ore itself. I mean, as I just saw, there's nothing really inherently special about it other than being a great looking material. Actually, would you mind if I hold on to it? At least just hold it for now. Just get a good look at it.
You can't do that.
Charm person!
You can't do that.
Because if I remember right, I believe in my Down the Hill of Dragon's Breath, I read a book about the Aethercite by my own grandpappy.
Do you say that out
the
loud?
hilt of the staff, and I say, I think you'll find in the end of the staff the material matches.
Okay, yeah, no, either way, I just need, if I could just get a chunk. Thank you. I'll go ahead and put that in my backpack. Nobody grab this. I must tell you, it will let me know that somebody's grabbing shit out of my backpack. Don't believe me? Do you want your things to tell you?
No, it's weird.
No.
Just go ahead and try it.
Let's just move past this.
Okay. Put my backpack back on.
Say his address as well.
No, thank you. I won't be
That's top
keeping it.
secret.
I'll be giving it back at some point. I just want to look at it for a little bit.
I fear that this Aetherstone may be the curse that has followed my family, and we may have saw some repercussions of that in Dragon's Breath. And if that's the case, this is an evil that has spread itself manually throughout the land just by means of cart and travel. So there's no telling.
Well, we have proven that Aethercite is not evil on its own. It's being worked by people who at least possess some measure of skill that your family had, if not your family itself.
That being said, I think there may have been some pieces that were worked before they had control over tuning it to good, because Claudia's earrings were made of that same metal, and it was not light that was following.
Really? And we sent her off, where was it, to the westland? The west of the continent? She was meeting up with some family or
Yeah,
something
she
like
went
that?
back to meet with family. Probably should track her down.
Well, so long as the Aethercite isn't being worked.
It has been worked.
Yes, but not being... Who made her earring?
I'm telling you, I don't know who made her earrings.
That's what we need to find, is who is...
She said that she chipped them off of her grandfather's war axe. But that was just what they
Her
were.
grandfather
They
would
were,
have been my uncle.
you know, they
mother's brother.
weren't refined. She
found
took
your uncle
she took a
in
piece of an
cemetery.
artifact that was already made,
No, yeah.
and then wrapped some wire around
would've
them
been his
and turned them into little jewel earrings because she liked the way that it looked. But they're not like that wouldn't give you the feeling that she knows how to work it. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, we
she
can't
just
very well-
managed to smack a few slivers off.
Back when we were in Dragon's Breath, I found a very interesting a research book by an astute researcher, expeditionist, if I do say so myself, that there might be an Aethercite, a very large Aethercite deposit deep within the mountains, where I imagined your family is probably grabbing it from. I do have a very piquing interest to maybe see if we can maybe find it, because it was recorded that it does have some sort of wobbly magic abilities. Maybe not this one. I figured it was a little weird that it didn't. Or maybe you just outblew it. Maybe I wasn't looking clearly enough. But I do have some things I do need to mention real quick. So you weren't there, but you two remember those two crazies we found in the cave who tried to abandon us with the big spider thing?
Yes.
I think they might be camping out here somewhere. If not them, there is some other, kind of look back at the store, criminal organization going on. And I'm more interested on who those guys were, not necessarily like any criminal.
Yeah.
But
Now that you mention that, our whole journey here, we were warned that this place was full of bandits and criminals. We haven't seen chaos here. We've seen a nice inn. We've seen a nice tailor. We've seen dilapidation, but we haven't seen the chaos that was described to us on the way here.
maybe unarmed thieves. Maybe the entire city is a criminal organization.
Well, now we have two leads.
I think that tracking down the Aethercite vein maybe even if it isn't active, we might be able to find some clues about who was mining it, or why or how they were working it, how much of it is left, if somebody's still using it and harvesting it. If there is an evil force counter to Andromeda that has found out how to work this metal, I fear that it could be dangerous for the whole realm. I do know that someone found the Aethercite before my family and learned how to work it much earlier than my family. So they may be much better at working the material by now, because it's almost been 150 years since I know they've been working the material. I assume so. That being said, the Aethercite deposit that you read about could be completely depleted. If that's the case, then the situation is far dire than we realize.
I don't know how far back the records go on that book. I'd say somewhere around, at the latest, 20 years. So, I mean, who knows? Could be something.
Did it mention where it might be located?
Any idea on where that could be?
What?
Do I remember if there was like a location or maybe a cave system that led to the Aethercite written in the book?
No, not specific.
Mhm.
Like, you don't know. He didn't mention a specific mine where he was
High up
getting
in the
samples,
mountains.
but he just made it clear that this town was where he was getting access to the material for his research.
He probably mentioned it in passing. I just probably need to reread it over and again just to get an idea. But as for right now, it's back down at Dragon's Breath.
This wasn't a book that you got from that town. This was in your...
This was in that library. You weren't there. I went to a library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Went to a library, found a little essay paper about it, decided to glimpse over it. I just want to do some research on the mountain, and I found some research.
You know who wrote the essay?
Yes. I do. It is my grandfather, Asmarius Altrius. Yeah, he, kind of why I'm here. He expeditioned this mountain quite frequently, trying to discover some hidden secrets about it, and, well, he went missing, and I'm filling in for his place. The spiritual successor of sorts.
Was this the last place he was seen?
Well, this is the last place that we know he was heading. He went up with his own expedition group, and only, and let me remind you that he went up multiple times, of course. But when the group came back, it was just one man, and we didn't get to talk to him much.
So was your grandfather working the Aethercite?
That I'm not too much aware of. Most of his research was after his. And my dad didn't want me going into his stuff too much. Dad's a little skeptical when it comes to magic. He wasn't too open-minded about it. He don't want me learning about it.
I'm not so certain that in its natural state it is so latent. And I worry that he may have been attacked by whatever forces are affecting me when I'm around the Aethercite feel demonic. They feel evil, feel like something completely contrary to Andromeda and creation and light. And I just think that maybe your grandpa got a little taste of that curse. He was up there looking for it.
Well, maybe we would just have to find this vein and figure it out. Yeah, the only thing I can possibly think of is it's only inherently magical if, I don't know, attuned to the source or some sort. If it's chipped off, maybe it loses that magical property.
I don't know how, but I feel as if the fate of the Yuri is wrapped up in this stuff.
You know anything about the Yuri?
Not me, but if there's anyone older than me, like Claudia's father, he would know. He may have more knowledge of the Yuri because I'm 400 years old. They've only been gone for 100 years before my birth. He very well could know about them.
If he's not completely senile.
Or death by a curse.
So do we investigate the people in town and various type who we think may be linked to who knows what?
Oh, I think I know a guy you can talk to. He's in there.
This whole time you've been talking, encroaching in over the northern side of the peaks is another wash of thick, dark storm clouds. They begin to roll in darkening the sky of this early morning as you guys are discussing all of this. And as the storm washes over you and you begin to feel the slightest trickle of sprinkling dropping onto you, cold rain, you hear the crack of thunder coming from the north. And just as the rain washes down hard and begins to essentially start pouring, forcing you to seek shelter, the closest place being back through the entryway of the tailor, Galil, you feel like you hear this sound coming from the Border Watch Tower, where the thickest clouds have concentrated. And you hear this echoing moan, this echoing over the air. Just as quickly you hear it, it's followed by the jingling sound of the doorbell. Ding, 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 as you push the tailor doors open and rush in out of the storm. All of this still washing through your minds as you shake this trickling of rain off of you. That's where we're going to end this session.
Ooh.
Like to wander there.
I'm gonna kill that ghoul.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. As always, if you like what we do, please get online and leave us a review. It really helps us out. Find us on Patreon and Spotify.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It's good to see you.
I'll leave that for it.
Persephone's Tavern, our tales will be sung as we share our adventures with friends old and young. So come raise your glass to the heroes so bold in Persephone's Tavern, where legends are told.
It's the end of the show, which means it's time to take a look at the bounty board. This week we have Radical Toaster and Krinko. A humble thanks to them for their continued support. If you would like to support the show and hear your name on the bounty board, find us at patreon.com, search Persephone's Tavern to learn more.